What's up, fragrant world? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. My name is JC, and here on Stay Fresh Productions, we talk about everything fragrance. If you have an interest in that type of content, then go ahead and subscribe. Would love to have you back for more videos. Make sure you click the bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload, and make sure you like the video. If you like the video, that is, just so me and YouTube both know that you like this kind of content. So today we are talking about a topic that is kind of in line with a video I did recently, which was called Slow Burns. You can watch that here if you missed it. And that video was talking about fragrances that I first came to, and either I didn't like them at first, or I didn't care for them that much, or I liked them and they were just okay. But over time they evolved and I really have grown to love them a lot. This topic is kind of in that same vein, but we're on the other side of the spectrum here. We're talking about my favorite love at first sniff fragrances. I have more than 10 here. I think there's 12, and the name is self-explanatory. These are fragrances that I smelled them and immediately there was no hesitation. There was a visceral reaction. It was like, yes, I absolutely love this. I need it right now. And to this day, I still have them and I still love them. So that is the key criteria for this list. Now, I've ranked these fragrances not so much in the order of how much I like them. In fact, nothing like that at all. They are ranked in order chronologically, as best as I can remember, from way back when, fragrances that I experienced where I absolutely loved them, all the way till today. So it's ranked by time. So it's gonna give you a little bit of a insight into my journey where I had these landmarks along the way of fragrances that I really loved. So let's just jump right into it. Here at the number 12 spot, I smelled this in a Macy's around the beginnings of my collection journey, when I really started to get into studying fragrances and figuring out why they smell the way that they do. And I saw this one being talked about. I went into Macy's, and from the first time I smelled it, had to buy it then and there. Now you can get it a lot cheaper online, but no regrets. This is my old bottle of L'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent. And I don't wear it quite as much as I used to, and I don't wear it as much as I'd like to, but it's still a love. Even though I've gained a lot of loves over the years, this one, I always come back to it. You can't go wrong. Sweet, fresh, creamy. I mean, no one can dislike this fragrance. It is so versatile. You can wear it anywhere, just about any time of the year. It's just so pleasant. You're just gonna smell so pleasant. Never get tired of it. Good memories associated with this one. That is L'Homme from Yves Saint Laurent. Okay, if you've been on my channel any length of time, then you already know what this is. I smelled this a long time ago, way back when, around the time I was starting my YouTube channel. Immediately fell for it and have not looked back. This is John Varvatos Vintage. Man, this stuff is a fragrance that, again, makes me feel like myself. It really resonates with me. And it's kind of hard to describe, but it is very warming and kind of sweet, a little spicy, has a bit of a suede leather touch to it, but it does have a nice freshness and a zing from some rhubarb, but it is kind of earthy with tobacco. It's quite a mix of things, and I have reviewed it and I did my best to do it justice there. Check it out if you haven't already, but I might end up re-reviewing this one just to see if I can get my modern take on it. But I would snatch this up now. This might be disappearing pretty soon. Check it out, John Varvatos Vintage. Just want to take a moment to remind you that I need your help to continue making content like this. I love doing this, and I want to spend more time and more of my energy doing it. And in order to do so, I created a way for you to directly support me as a creator and as a fellow fragrance lover on Patreon. You can go to my Patreon, join the Fresh Fam. We have multiple tiers of ways that you can support that each come with their own perks, ways that we can converse more intimately. I can give you some more exclusive content that you will not see here on YouTube. We can get to know each other. And again, it's just a really beautiful time. We're having some great conversations over there. So I really need your help in order to keep doing this, to keep this platform, Stay Fresh Productions, alive. I'm really trying to focus a lot of energy on that. So Patreon is a great way to do that. So please consider helping me out there. There will be a link down below. Okay, this was several years ago. I was in a Bloomingdale's, and it was my first time at a Bloomingdale's, and I was just smelling everything. I didn't expect much from this. Put it on a blotter, smelled it, and I was like, wait, this smells amazing. What? Sprayed some more, smelled it again, still smelled amazing. Put some on my hand, loved it. Took home a sample, Had to buy it as soon as possible. Probably within about a month's time, I bought a bottle. This is called At the Barber's from Maison Margiela, from their replica line, meant to depict a very particular time period and place. This one being Madrid, 1992, supposed to basically smell like shaving foam and leather. And that is essentially what it is. It is a classic fougere fragrance. It has the fresh, spicy nature. It's a little herbaceous, has a nice sweet creaminess to it. Again, kind of akin to like shaving foam. And it dries down to a nice, soft, but very prominent leather note. Really beautiful stuff for the springtime especially. Love this. Have always loved it ever since. And I, put a little dent in it, you can tell. So that's At the Barber's. Okay, I smelled this fragrance the same day I was at the Bloomingdale's and I smelled At the Barber's. And I think this was the year that this one came out. And it was kind of a quiet release. I don't think people were really loving it. I don't think it flew off the shelves. And as a result, it might be discontinued at this point. But I was immediately impressed with it, mainly because it is a little unique. It's a flanker to a fairly popular scent that is based on another fragrance, kind of. And that is Valentino Uomo, which is very similar to Dior Homme, if you didn't know, by the same perfumer. And this is the flanker to Uomo. This is Uomo Acqua, the summer version. Taking that nice powdery, fresh and kind of rich iris note, they kind of strip away the succulent quality from like chestnut. That gourmand nature is kind of gone here, replaced with some citruses and some tomato leaf, which is a very interesting touch. So a nice, interesting mix of notes to create a very elegant and again, very unique, but also quite pleasing scent. I don't think anyone's gonna dislike this on you. Not the greatest performance, but I think that's in its favor. It does wear pretty light. That is what contributes to its elegance. So I love this stuff. Always have, always will. Uomo Acqua from Valentino. This one is kind of hard for me to pinpoint. I don't remember exactly when I smelled it. I think it was from a sample that I acquired from someone. So whoever you are, if you happen to know, thank you, because I loved it immediately. Didn't get a bottle for several years. I didn't get a bottle actually until the last 6 months or so. I picked this up, found it for a great price, and I love it. This is called Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua from the house of Tom Ford. Perfect for the summertime, beautifully unisex. A nice aquatic take on the original Mandarino di Amalfi as per the name. Beautiful, juicy, sweet mandarin orange. You got quite a few other notes, maybe some black currant in there. You got a prominent white floral presence from maybe some orange blossom and maybe even some jasmine or something like that. So it does have this kind of creamy white floral nature to it, but it's still very bright and citrusy. It even dries down to some amber, maybe even some animalic notes, which I get none of, but it's actually a complex note breakdown when you take a look at it. I really love it. Again, perfectly unisex. Anyone can pull this off. Great for just an afternoon out, 4 or 5 hours. That's all you'll probably get out of it, but it works. So I love it. Mandarino di Amalfi Acqua. Okay, I first smelled this one before it came out. The perfumer and the creator of the brand sent me a sample of this probably almost a year before it was released. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then here we are. He sent me a bottle and I've already reviewed this one. You can check it out here from the house of Argos. This is Triumph of Bacchus. Beautiful, beautiful, sweet tobacco scent. I get kind of a cherry tobacco vibe with nice, beautiful vanilla. There's like earthy patchouli in here. And there's a very beautiful jasmine note. It is a very succulent scent, but it's also very classy. Something perfect for the cooler weather, especially at night when you're dressed up. Man, it's still a little bit chilly where I'm at on some days, so I can get away with wearing it. Gonna try to squeeze as much out of it while I still can before it gets too warm. If you want to check out Triumph of Bacchus, they have been sold out for months. Finally getting some more in. You can check out the link down in the description. Make sure you use the code FRESH10. Get 10% off your purchase, whether it's getting the full bottle or getting the sample set if you want to try all 5. They're all wonderful fragrances and I highly recommend checking them out if you've been sleeping on them. This is Argos. You got to get some of this in your life. Loving Triumph of Bacchus. Love it. Okay, we're halfway through the list. And from the house of Teo Cabanel, this is one I smelled several months ago from a sample they sent to me. Immediately loved it. And I wanted to ask them if I could get a bottle to review, but I just never got around to it. But then they reached out to me and said, hey, we want to send you a bottle. So I said, yes, please. Got it in, and I love it even more. Love this stuff. This is called Barkhane. And this is a sweet, warm, resinous scent. Opens with a little bit of freshness from some bergamot, but immediately gets into a nice myrrh and labdanum and maybe even some vanilla. So it is sweet, warm, it is balsamic, has a bit of a dryness, almost reminds me of like being somewhere in the desert and there's kind of some sand in the air. You're not breathing in sand, that would be bad, but the air is kind of arid and dry. But it does have a succulent sweetness to it. Really, really just elegant stuff, fairly unique. I highly recommend checking this out. You can sample this over at Scent City. Use my code JCRecommends. That'll get you, I think, 12% off if you want to get a sample, or if you want to just go in on a full bottle. Man, if you're looking for a beautiful, warm, resinous, sweet fragrance for the cooler months, this is good stuff. And you could even get away with this on summer nights because it's not all that strong. It's going to last a good while, but it doesn't scream off the skin. So you're not going to have to worry about choking people out. Very classy stuff. That is Barkhane. Check it out. Up next here, this is one that thoroughly surprised me. A subscriber here on YouTube, Crochet, was telling me about it for months, if not longer. And I was slacking on it. Finally just decided to pick it up because it was super cheap. And first spray, I was like, oh, okay, I see what he was talking about. Gave it my first full wearing, and I just fell deeper in love with this stuff. This is called 3 a.m. from Sean John. Not something I would expect to love from a celebrity fragrance brand. And you got to check out the atomizer. One of the best in the game. Like, come on now. Yeah. Bubbly, beautiful, effervescent tonic water mixed with some mandarin orange, some bergamot, and some cardamom up top. So it's a little spicy, sweet, juicy, but also fresh. And again, very bubbly, effervescent. It dries with some fig leaf in there. There's some leather when it dries down. It's a very interesting take on a very easygoing scent. And this is one I think that you wear to a social function when you just want to be kind of alluring, but very fun and playful. It's a really great scent for that. It's not going to have the greatest performance, but it's going to be good enough. And especially if you give it some heat, it will project. So that is Sean John 3 a.m. Love it. Coming in here next, I did a video on my top 5 favorite amber scents. This made that list, and it's not an outright amber scent, but amber does play a major role in this. You can check out that review here, by the way. I love this. This is a beautiful signature scent. This could be the most versatile fragrance you have in regards to something that is fairly unique, but great quality, and you can wear it almost anywhere. Borderline beast mode on me. I get at least 10 hours out of this. I can smell it around me all the time. Has a beautiful sweetness, but a sharp freshness in there, and a little bit of an earthy nature to it. Very slight from some coriander. This is called Gentle Fluidity Silver from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. Very elegant, pleasant stuff. Beautiful sweet vanilla with that warm amber. Sharp juniper berry leads the way here. Great quality, and again, fairly unique. I loved it as soon as I put it on. I had to wear it. I put on more than I should have because I didn't know how strong it was, so now I've dialed it back. Usually go about 3 or 4 sprays. That's all I need for the entire day. Love this stuff. Projects very well too. I'll have links down in the description for this as well. Okay, now we're coming up to one of the most transported fragrances I've smelled in a long time. It does what it's intended to do, from the way the bottle looks to the label to everything. It is what it says it's gonna do. This is called Coco Moon. It looks like vacation in a bottle, and it sure is. Beautiful, sweet, juicy pineapple mixed with some freshness with that coconut. Has a little bit of that sweet tropical nature in there, but there's also a nice vanilla, and there's a sandalwood in here. And again, this is the most recent batch, pretty much beast mode on me. I wore it on a vacation just recently. I put it on a shirt. This was at least 3 or 4 nights ago. I can still smell it on that shirt very strongly. Sweet, tropical, a little bit fresh, but not really. This is something that I would wear mainly at night when there's a little bit of warmth. It just kind of brings it to life. Love this stuff ever since I first smelled it. That's Coco Moon from Beach Geeza. I forgot to mention Beach Geeza. Link in the description. Okay, these next two fragrances I have not discussed on my channel just yet. I will have a video coming out soon discussing the next fragrance coming up, but this one I have not mentioned yet. This was actually sent to me by a good friend of mine, Frederick. Thank you so much. He turned me on to this one, sent me a sample, which unfortunately I couldn't actually smell because the atomizer was broken. So he just said, hey, I just want you to really experience this stuff because I really love it, so I'm gonna send you a bottle. So he did. So I cannot thank you enough. And this is a beautiful conjunction of unusual with familiar. This is called Ganymede from the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois, which I'm probably butchering that name, but this is meant to, man, that's so nice. This is meant to pay homage to Jupiter's largest moon called Ganymede, which is also the largest moon in our solar system. It has this really interesting metallic mineral touch to it, but it is kind of in the background behind some freshness, almost like fougere-like freshness in there. But it does have a very interesting immortelle note, also called everlasting flower, which is known to smell like curry, which I typically don't really care for in my fragrances, but it makes this one work. It would be bland without it. Such an interesting, again, mixture of elements coming together. It does kind of make me think of a satellite. Also, you know, that's what moons are called. Up in the night sky, there's a coldness to it. There's a, you know, it's just a bit of a darkness to it, but it is very beautiful and fresh and kind of bright. Maybe if you think of the luminescence of a moon in the sky, you kind of get that vibe here. Really beautiful, really, really beautiful. And from the first sniff, I loved it. And this one is also borderline beast mode on me too. Link in the description if you want to check this one out. And last one here, I have to apologize, but I'm actually not sorry. Reason is because I'm gonna tease you. I'm not gonna tell you anything about this fragrance. I'm just gonna say you need to watch the next video I'm gonna do that features it along with a few others. This is from the house of Amouroud. This is called Oud de Jour. Okay, I first put this on when they sent it to me. My eyes lit up, lit all the way up. I was blown away by this fragrance. I absolutely love it, and that is all I'm gonna tell you about it. If you want to know more about this, I'm going to do a house overview very soon. They sent me 4 fragrances. I've talked about one of them already on the channel, or maybe 2 of them at this point. And I'm going to talk about all 4. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the house and also a really, really special discount that you can use on their fragrances. So that's all I'm going to say. Stay tuned for that video. It'll be coming soon. If it's already available by the time you're watching this video, it will be here. Otherwise, there's nothing there. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Okay, that's it. Those are my top favorite love at first sniff fragrances. Now I want to know, what is one fragrance that was absolutely love at first sniff, whether you smelled it yesterday or whether you smelled it 15 years ago or anywhere in between. You loved it then, you absolutely love it now. What is that one fragrance for you? I want to know. And if you want to become a part of the Fresh Squad here on YouTube, all you got to do is hit subscribe. We're a growing family. Would love to have you back. Again, hit that bell so you get notified when I upload, and like the video. If you like the video, really helps me out, and it shows us that you like this kind of content. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.